Hello, my beautiful friend. Welcome to this episode of the Manifest Massively podcast. I am your host, Nicole Renee Ray, spiritual life and business coach. Let's get started. So, today we are talking all about money manifestation. What the heck is it? How do we do it? How do we get better at it? I'm assuming that you have some sense of what it is to attract something into your life, to call something in, to be the creator and cause of an intended desire, and also the receiver of that intended desire. So we're starting there. When it comes to money, and really this does apply to all of it, but we're talking about money. When it comes to money, our relationship with money, our experience with money is fully 100% shaped by so many factors. So that goes for the family that we were brought up in, the beliefs that our primary caregivers had with money, the behaviors that our primary caregivers had with money, the society that we grew up in, even the times. Consider what was going on in the decade of the 1940s versus the 1950s versus the 1970s versus the 2020s, right? We're in different times. So, as a collective, we have a different relationship to money. And it goes on. It can be a specific experience that we have. I remember I have childhood memories of either losing money or something happening around money. And I'm 7, 8, or 9, 10 years old, realizing that the belief that I created as that 9-year-old is still playing out in my present day reality. Our past, our family, our upbringing, our society, our culture, right? What culture we grew up in, or even like in my case, my parents were immigrants. So I was raised in America, but they were born and partially raised in Croatia. Very different cultures, very different attitudes about money. So, where I'm going with this is that how you in your present day relate to money, experience money, act around money, what you believe about money is 100% shaped by all of these things. And these beliefs, these experience live in your unconscious. And your unconscious mind is what is doing 80 to 90% of the manifesting because it's the part of your mind that's running all the time. The part of your mind that is thinking thoughts that you're not even aware of, believing things that you're not even aware of because it's below your consciousness, it's unconscious. So, when you look at your present reality with money, whatever that means to you, that could be the amount of money you earn, the amount of money you have access to, the amount of debt you have, the amount of available credit, what your credit score is. Like when you look at your present reality with money, it has been created by whatever the accumulation of all of those beliefs, thoughts, and experiences over time that have been embedded into your unconscious. Now, when I say embedded into your unconscious, what I mean by that is just by nature of being human. It's just how we develop as human beings from childhood into adulthood. It's just how our brains work. It's just how our minds work. So it's really not your fault. And I want to just go ahead and give you permission that if you have any parts of you that you're beating yourself up, that you're shaming yourself about your financial situation, if you have any negativity going on about that, I'm just going to invite you to go ahead and let yourself off the hook. Here's your permission slip to stop. Stop beating yourself up. Stop thinking poorly of yourself. It's not necessary. Your value is not measured by your financial circumstance. And it's okay to desire a new financial circumstance. We've talked about the unconscious mind. And another way that is said is like we are pro for a certain experience. So if you had parents that were college graduates and they were like, you're going to go to college and you're going to make a salary and you're going to work a job for 30 years, then you are going to essentially be programmed for that kind of life. That's going to be what's normal to you. That's what's going to seem appropriate. If you're someone whose parents and upbringing was very uncertain, maybe there was a lot of instability, hopefully not, but maybe there was some abuse. Gosh, human beings, we go through such a vast amount of experiences. I have learned to have so much compassion for humans the more and more I hear about people's experiences. All of those things shape your relationship to money, shape your relationship to what you believe you deserve. And all of that gets embedded into your unconscious. And so it becomes like default. It starts to seem normal, whatever is. And when that happens, we can have some resistance to allowing more in or allowing change to happen. So, this is where you bringing the unconscious to the conscious, implementing some tools, setting some goals, creating a vision, allowing yourself to actually desire and create that desire from your authentic place. I like to call that place soul. When you hear me say the word soul, what I mean is like the you that you are, like the purest, truest essence of you. When we're operating from a lot of subconscious programming, we're not operating from the truest essence of who we are. So, when it comes to money, one of the first steps I invite you to take is to take a look at your desire, setting aside your current reality, right? This is where we get to de identify or disidentify with our circumstances, relate to who we truly are and the value that we are in who we are. And there could be a whole healing process that happens around that. And then decide. And usually, before we decide, we've got to get clear on what do we desire? What do we want? If we're deciding to manifest money or manifest a new financial situation or manifest a money miracle, however you want to define that, you do got to define it though. So that could be a specific number. That could be a specific number every month. So you can just decide you're going to manifest X amount of dollars. $5, $100, $5,000. You could decide that you are going to manifest a certain raise. One of the things that I have learned from the mentors that I've studied under, and it's said multiple times, is that when you decide on that number, give it a purpose, give it a reason. Why do you want that amount of money? What is the job that those dollars will have once they are there? Right? So you decide that. And this is usually where those beliefs that I talked about that are in the subconscious start to surface. So if all your life you only ever earned $30,000 a year, and that's what your parents earned, and that's what's normal for you to earn. And then all of a sudden you're like, but I want to make $50,000 a year. And what I'm going to do with that extra 20,000 is 10,000 a year I'm going to use to go on vacation, and 10,000, the other 10,000 I'm going to use to pad my retirement account. I'm just being general here, making things up. Then your limiting beliefs, the beliefs that keep you automatically at 30, are what are going to surface. Those limiting beliefs that then cause resistance from to that jump to 50,000. That is what there is to deal with. That is usually where the discomfort comes in. And that is when we are in the process of manifesting, when we're in the process of stepping into a new level, that is what there is to turn around. Now, there's a couple ways to do that. One, you actually have to, what I like to call, do a belief inventory. So, what do I actually believe about me and money? What do I actually believe about money? What do I believe is possible? So, in this hypothetical example, for the person who has been at 30,000 and wants to be at 50,000, they might have this belief, oh, I could never be at 50,000. They might have a belief that says, I don't deserve to be at 50,000. They might have a belief that says, it's not even possible, not for anybody, not for me. And it becomes our job to start shifting those beliefs, talking ourselves out of believing those limiting beliefs and talking ourselves into believing the beliefs that are in alignment with having, earning, receiving the 50K. I would love to know if this is making sense because it's one of the first times on this show that I have actually really unpacked the nitty gritty of the mindset work. Now, sometimes you can transform a belief like that. And sometimes it takes time and we have to continuously reinforce and find evidence for the new belief. And it becomes like a journey, it becomes like a transformation. That journey of transformation is one of the reasons that I personally love the process of manifestation so much because it really is a journey of healing, a journey of change, a journey of stepping into a new you. There is a certain identity that person at 30,000 has. Our identities are made up of what we believe about ourselves. And in order to then be at that 20,000 jump, stepping into that 50,000 a year earner. And by the way, you can apply this to 100,000, 200,000, $1 million. Identity is identity. It doesn't even matter about the number. What we believe about ourselves shapes how we perceive the world, shapes how we perceive what's possible, shapes the actions that we're willing to take or not willing to take, shapes what boundaries we're willing to put around things. What we are willing to believe about ourselves, about our worth, will absolutely transform our lives. It really is simple. It's simple to say that, though shifting identities can be challenging, but not, I don't say that to scare you, to make you think like it's hard. It just requires, I don't even want to say time. It requires, I don't like the word dedication either. It requires persistence. One of my mentors, I just listened to her talking to someone who was a mother. She was like, when the baby learned to walk and it took its first step and didn't make it, did you give up on it? A baby learns to walk over time and then all of a sudden they're walking. And it's the same with shifting our limiting beliefs. It's the same with taking on a new identity, taking on a new set of beliefs that align us with that new reality that we're creating. Now, we can go on. Beliefs are just one piece of it. I personally believe that the beliefs that we hold and the beliefs that we truly believe, particularly the ones that we believe on autopilot, form our energetic vibration. Because the thoughts that we think, the beliefs that we have, are going to inform the emotions that we feel. If I have an inner narrative going on and on about how I'm not worthy and it's not possible and it's really hard, those thoughts are going to automatically make me feel scared, make me feel doubtful, make me feel uncertain, make me feel unstable. And that combination of those thoughts and those feelings are going to give off a certain vibe. And I'll just give you an example. Have you ever been around your friend? Think of like your really good friend or your partner, and they're in a really good mood and they're lit up and they're smiling and there's like a certain vibe coming off them, right? Versus like maybe something happened and maybe they had a really bad day and they're not feeling really good. They're feeling, maybe they have sadness, maybe they've lost something, maybe they're having thoughts that they're never going to be able to get it back. Like our emotions, our thoughts, our beliefs form this like energetic ecosystem, if you will. You could even say it shapes your auric field. That's going to affect your magnetism. So all of this stuff, like when we say mind, body, soul, it's all infused together. It all works as one. And when we work on one aspect of it, whether it's our mindset or our emotional health or our vibrational health. It all affects the other. Same goes with our physicals. What else do I want to say about this? So, we've talked about the unconscious mind. We've talked about the process by which we need to shift our beliefs, therefore shift our identity, and how that then shifts our energy and our ability to act, our willingness to act and take actions in alignment with that new goal. That is going to shift our ability to receive, to take in. And that's something that a lot of people in general, and I usually speak to women as my clients, we have a hard time receiving. We spend so much time needing to prove our value even to ourselves, needing to make sure that we're independent, needing to make sure we're doing it all on our own, that we tend to not fully be in the receptive mode. So that might be a piece of working on beliefs around receiving. And a lot of the times, receiving has to do with worthiness. And then the other piece I want to talk about here is usually with this mindset process, once you've set an intention, you've decided on something, you're working through the beliefs and the emotions and the energy around it, there's usually light bulb moments, we'll call them, where you have this idea that, oh, maybe I'll call this person I haven't talked to in 10 years. And then that turns into a conversation about an idea. And other ways, pathways, inspired pathways start to open up where money can start to flow through, right? Where before in the old beliefs, even if those pathways showed up, you wouldn't even be able to see them because that old thinking would be holding you back from even seeing those possibilities. So I want to leave you with a little bit of a tool that you can take into your day to day as you begin your journey. Obviously, I highly recommend doing the desire work, really tapping into your heart. What do I really want my financial reality to look like? That's in alignment with the truth of who I am, not with what society and my family and my past experiences told me I could be. I highly recommend doing that belief inventory work, taking a look, just doing an honest inventory of what do you really believe about money? What do you really believe about yourself and money? What do you really believe about what's possible? And entertain. Is this a belief that I inherited from a caregiver? Is this a belief that I made up when I was 7 that has no relevancy now? Really get intimate with those beliefs and then play with what would I need to believe in order to have this manifestation come to fruition. So we've talked about all those, and those are definitely things to go on with. But I want to leave you with this. It's such a simple thing. I actually had one of my highest grossing months at the time after using this tool. And it's really just called being in the question. So when we choose to be in the inquiry of something, we choose to, so for me in that story it was like, how can I make more money? I think one of my clients at the time when I had my spray tan business, I had a lot of really wealthy clients, and she said to me, I would ask myself every day, how can I make money today? So I was like, that's great. And then it was consistent with one of the other personal development tools I was learning called being in the question. So being in the inquiry of something. So when we ask a question, if we immediately answer that question, it closes the energy. The question isn't the question anymore. The answer has now closed off the question. So if I'm in the question and I say, how can I make more money today? And then I go, I can't make more money today. Energy's closed. Whereas if I stay in the question and I don't go with the first answer that comes to mind, I don't go with the automatic. Instead, I open to the universe and I let the universe answer the question for me. I let the answer come in its highest form, however and wherever it's going to be. So you can play with that question for yourself, and I'll share with you in a minute what happened for me when I did that. So you can share, well, how much more money can I make today? Or how can I make $1,000 today? Or how can I make an additional $10,000 today or this month? Just be in the question and let the answer come. So when I did that, I was living in the Palm Desert area. This was oh my gosh, 6 or 7 years ago. And at the time, my then boyfriend, now husband, we were living apart. And what happened was I was playing being in the question. I was being in the question. How can I make more money? How can I make more money? I was asking it, being in the question, going about my business. I was on my way to the health food store. I ran into a friend, still a dear friend to this day. Absolutely adore him. And he goes, "Hey, you should rent your apartment out for Coachella." So, those of you who don't know, there's a huge music festival that happens in Coachella, which was near where I was living every April, usually 2 weekends. And it's interesting because had I been living with my now husband, then boyfriend, Evan, I probably would not have done that. He wouldn't have been into it. But because I was living on my own, it was like the perfect idea. So I got down to business. I went and cleaned my apartment. I got it ready. I did everything I needed to do. I took photos. I posted on Airbnb. Like I did all of the things. And I ended up making $9,000, which for me at the time was like a crazy amount of money. It is a good amount of money. And had I not just allowed myself to be in the question, be open, and then here comes my friend that I run into. Had no idea I was going to run into him. The answer shows up. I act on the answer and the money comes through. So I would love it if you would try that on any of the tools that we talked about today. I, of course, would love it if you share with me on Instagram what you think of money manifestation in general. Have you had a money manifestation breakthrough? Have you had a money manifestation breakdown? Where are you at in the journey? Of course, I'd like to know.